Hello and welcome. My name is Zafar Iqbal and you are watching the Mojo story. There has been repeated ceasefire violation by Pakistan at the line of control. Now, Pakistani uh, forces, Pakistani army has been firing from their pickets at the line of control on Indian army positions, and Indian army has retaliated. This is small arm firing that has taken place. Now, this comes days after the Pahalgam massacre. You can see on those visuals, those are the tourists who were targeted by terrorists, a group of elite terrorists targeted tourists. 26 civilians were killed in that gruesome terror attack at Pahalgam. Now, those bodies have been taken back to their states. You can see the nation is angry, and there is a sense of that anger that nation wants that there should be some sort of a retaliation after this gruesome terrorist attack. Now there are other developments also taking place. We will discuss that, but we're joined on the show right now by our two esteemed guests. We're joined by Major General Neeraj Bhali and Rabinder Sachdev. He also joins us. Welcome to Mojo Story. General Neeraj Bhali, expected lines that there is a ceasefire violation all along the line of control. It started with small arms, but it seems that the ceasefire that was holding on for some time, obviously the line of control is going to get hotter by every passing day.
You're quite right. The ceasefire actually came about when I was in Kashmir, and it was quite a relief at that point of time, I'm sure, for both sides. But what is happening now is absolutely to be expected. There is going to be a little bit of this tit for tat, few skirmishes, firing on the line of control. But I think that's a side show. The real issue is what's happened to us just a few days ago. That is still the unresolved business of the day. As far as the what is happening on line of control, the army is pretty competent to take care of that. We've had that for years, and I don't think that bothers anybody.
Right. Rabindraji, before I come to you, I want my producer to actually play what happened in London. The Pakistani High Commission in London, there was a protest taking place outside of the High Commission, and one of the officials of the Pakistani High Commission actually put up a photo. You can see on that screen now. This is Wing Commander Abhinandan, and look at what he's the gesture. Look at the gesture. This is awful. The way that he's showing this gesture. This is an official of the Pakistani High Commission in London. Is it even possible that an Indian official can do this? But what is the messaging here? What sort of a situation are we looking at?
Thank you so much. A pleasure to be with you and General Bali. No, absolutely. I mean, despicable, demeaning, non-diplomatic to say the least, behavior by diplomats of the Pakistan government. This is, this shows the deep, even if their diplomats were supposed to be, looking at the nuances of issues, these diplomats are, hardliners straight away, one could say. However, I want to step back on this particular aspect of the diaspora and protests outside the Pakistan High Commission, which, where we see this response. I think our diaspora should fair enough protest outside Pakistan High Commissions and embassies, but should also go and engage with parliamentarians and lawmakers in their respective countries and pressure them for their countries to take a stance which puts more pressure on Pakistan, which stands more with India. And my submission is that our diaspora delegations, when they attempt this, should be Indians or of Indian origin, which I mean not only Hindu, quote unquote, should be Hindu, Muslim, Sikh people, etc. So it's the mosaic of India which go and pressure their own lawmakers or at least sensitize them. I think that is something which would have some little. I mean, these are drops here and there which add up. But I think for our diaspora to vent their energy, definitely their anger and their their anger. Definitely protesting outside Pakistan embassies is one step. What does it get us? I don't know. It does create a worldwide awareness. But more would be if our diaspora, and we are doing it actually, we are starting to do it in the United States.
Right. You know, while all these things are happening, there is a Pakistan army passing out parade happening in Pakistan today. And Shehbaz Sharif, the Pakistani Prime Minister, has spoken about uh, the Pahalgam incident. And as usual, they have given the same, sort of a statement that they are ready for a neutral investigation. But the fact is that investigators have found that this was a group of four terrorists, two locals, two Pakistanis who were involved in this terror attack. They have been identified, their names are out in the open. What is there for a neutral investigation? It is just a diversion by Pakistani Prime Minister, who seems to be just a rubber stamp, while it's the Pakistani army chief who's actually calling the shots.
Absolutely. You see, Pakistan has played this game of plausible deniability for a long time. I won't even call it plausible anymore. There has been deniability built into all their actions. This is what we classically call the gray zone warfare, where you do something that hurts the opponent, but you can always deny that you did it. But I think there is sufficient evidence over the years which has come to us, the people we have captured, the people we have brought back to India, which every single finger points back at Pakistan. So there is no, and you're absolutely right, it's a meaningless offer to investigate. Investigate who? Investigate where? It's not going to be. Let me just go back to the point Mr. Sajdev made. First of all, I agree with every word of what he said. I think we need to take more substantive actions, even as a diaspora. I agree that in grief you can protest, which is fine. The As far as the gentleman who was there on top of the screen, the officer, his name is Colonel Taimur Rahat.
Yeah, defense attaché. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the defense attaché. Let me just tell you this as an aside. In 2003, I attended a study program in Asia Pacific Center in the US, and I had three serving Pakistani officers with me. Now, anecdotally, we are always told Pakistanis and we are the same people, and really there's no difference. We are the same, we came from the same background, which is true. But that you cannot say the same thing about the Pakistani army and us. There is an element of arrogance which is so unbelievable when you talk to them that I don't know what it is based on, defeat after defeat, but they're still based on that. So what you're seeing, this despicable act, which I'm 100% sure no Indian army officer would do, is coming out of that arrogance of having ruled a country for so long. So I think we should just look at it and ignore it.
Absolutely. This is about Wing Commander Abhinandan. This is the Balakot strike when his jet was shot down and then he was captured by the Pakistani army. This is actually the photo of that incident. That is what. But clearly, a defense attaché showing this gesture just doesn't seem to be all right. It seems to be terrible the way that he's doing it. But anyway, we come back to the main subject of Pahalgam and the investigations that are taking place. Certain measures have been taken, Ravinderji, in the sense that the terrorist houses in Kashmir have been blown away, 5 of them in 24 hours. So the messaging is very clear, as Prime Minister said, that we're going to chase them and get them till the end of the earth. So the situation we're seeing on the ground is pretty grim, and India is going to retaliate in different ways. One of the ways is, of course, the Indus Waters Treaty, the suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty. Do you think that it is a important beginning as far as the retaliation is concerned, but we're looking at some sort of a kinetic action also, because the way the anger on the streets across the country, people want that this action should not go unpunished?
Thank you. Yes, I do think that the government is kind of, engaging, and that must be the topmost question in the mind of the government decision makers, how to respond in a way. We have to respond, right? And there's immense pressure. But coming back to the Indus Waters Treaty, yes, it's a huge and symbolic signal, I would say, one. Secondly, I would not say that we will be able to stop every drop of water going into Pakistan. We cannot do it. Let's be honest. And that's a pragmatic thing. You cannot do it. I'll come to that why. But what we have done is that we've outlined a 3-step process towards this. In the first stage, in the immediate term, what India is saying, we will stop sharing the river hydrological data with Pakistan, which typically give out the river flow. Maybe there are floods, river flow up, down. So that in itself would kind of upset the planning of Pakistan with respect to the irrigation, flood management, drinking water management, etc. So that would have some impact, some in the coming months, especially summer. So that's the immediate one. Now, the medium and long term, I mean, that's the core where we say, or where Pakistan is saying, if you stop our waters, we will not. The point is, the three western rivers which go from us, which are in our share, collectively they give or they flow around 35 million acre feet a year. Out of this 35 million acre feet a year, we use about 30 million irrigation dam reservoirs, and about 5 goes into Pakistan. So in the medium term, what we will do is we'll try to use more of this water which is going into Pakistan, which in any case is in our, is in our share of the treaty. But irrespective of the treaty, it's easier to manage or maybe create some canals, etc., on these three rivers. As to the Indus, the other three, the western rivers which Pakistan gets the water, annually they bring in around 135 million acre feet of water. Out of this, around 5 million acre feet are leaked, distributed here, there. About 130 million acre feet go into Pakistan. Okay. Now, building any, forget dams, but any tunnels, irrigation projects, etc., to divert those waters would be extremely challenging for us. It's flowing in such rugged heights. I mean, that's a very, very high engineering challenge and monetary challenge. But that's in the long term. So in these 1, 2, 3 steps, first step, stop the hydrological data sharing. Second step, look to harness more of what we can in the lower flows of the waters wherever we can. And then third, it's, I mean, in a way, it's like a Brahmastra, that we have. But in order to be able to use that Brahmastra, we need to become like, something else to use it. So that's there. It's strategic. It's symbolic.
No, but what I was saying is that since these, Pakistani army and Pakistani army chief, they were not so popular in Pakistan. But after this incident, they have sort of gained that sort of a position that they are the saviors of that country. Do you think that it is also a diversion from their internal issues, what's happening in Balochistan, what's happening in other areas? This is again brought the focus back on army, that they are the ones who can defend Pakistan. So all of that criticism that the army was facing has been diverted for now. Asim Munir, it's actually helped Asim Munir. And when the Indus Water Treaty gets suspended, again, it creates that sentiment in Pakistan that they will rally behind their army.
Oh, absolutely. So, minus the Indus Water Treaty itself, I mean, that's the Pakistan army. I mean, exactly as you point out, their failures in Balochistan, their failures in their northwest Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region, right? Pakistan army has been suffering a lot of losses. And in fact, they've been blaming India for it, by the way, right? So now they ratchet up that rhetoric that, look here, there's a big 800-pound or 8,000-pound gorilla who's threatening us on the door, one. Second, with respect to this treaty, you're absolutely right. See, people don't normally understand and do not have the time to go into the nuances. So the headlines which they are making in Pakistan is that India is going to, Pakistan is going to stop our water. Sorry, India is going to stop our water, and this is a weapon they're using. This is against humanity, etc., etc. So they will absolutely very much leverage this as an emotional lever, emotional point to consolidate their support and the people of Pakistan behind whatever they do. Because who is the bulwark for the people of Pakistan? With respect to India, the only bulwark is the Pakistan army. So the Pakistan army needs to get more budgets. Therefore, they say the Pakistan army can therefore continue to, act, do whatever they think in the national interest, because they are the buffer which is protecting the common citizen of Pakistan. Lastly, I'll say one more thing. This whole Pahalgam thing, we are looking at Pakistan and all with respect to terror. There's a huge component of economics in this. The tariff wars which are going on in this world right now, there's some chance, decent chance, that India will benefit from relocation of supply chains, perhaps from China. How much we benefit, we don't know, but we will somewhat. Now, when there is such, where there's such a situation in India and the subcontinent is blowing hot with the rhetoric of war, investors will be cautious. And not only with respect to India, it benefits China also. So if the China-Pakistan axis is there, I do not have any evidence of that, but one can plausible, as you said, one can assume it will be in China's interest and China and Pakistan intelligence's joint interest to, make something like that happen, which creates difficulties for India, a political risk environment in India, and prevents economic shiftings which are going to happen in India. It will definitely have some impact on investors with respect to India. Unfortunately, this is what they want.
Right. Obviously, Indian economy is on a different track, and this will have an impact overall when there is a atmosphere of uncertainty or a looming threat of a war. But General Saab, as Rabinder ji was saying, already we're seeing those voices from Pakistan. Bilawal Bhutto today said that या तो खून बहेगा या तो पानी बहेगा. मतलब he's just saying that because common people say that कि पानी रोक दिया. मतलब this is the common language कि पानी तो रोक दिया. Now this has a different meaning when you say कि अब पानी अगर रोक दिया तो या तो खून बहेगा या तो it's a crazy statement, but ordinary people do not understand the nuances of all of this. So that's what I'm coming back to the point that Pakistan army, which was on a defensive because of the political uncertainty, they have jailed the most popular leader of that country who won the election. The elections were rigged. Then the economy is in a bad shape. But all of that takes a back seat. Now they're talking about pani roka, khoon bahega, we're going to hit back. All of these things are there. And Pakistan suddenly, Asim Munir seems to be the one who's actually gaining more and in control and calling the shots.
You see, let me share what is our understanding. When I say our, I'm not talking on behalf of Government of India. Of course, I'm a retired person. There is a distinct divide between the Pakistani army. General Asim Munir is not a popular army chief. And a lot of people, especially the younger lot in the Pakistani army, have gravitated to the view that it's Imran Khan who should be in power and he should be out. So there is a powerless situation within the army there. Now, General Munir gaining something, it may not be the consequence. It may be the result of what he did here is an attempt to gain that credibility, is to regain the credibility. You see, it's leading to the same. The road is leading in the same direction, but that's a difference. The second thing which I would notice is I'm not a technical man, and I agree with Ravinderji on everything. See, the fact that they are squirming so much about Indus Water Treaty, the fact that a couple of the ministers have said that they will go to every forum and the India can't do it, and etc. 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 tells you that maybe there is a possibility that they suspect that we have the capability to hurt them. Now, obviously, when the water is in full flow, you can't do very much. But when water is in short supply, and we know that 80% of Pakistan's cultivated land depends on Indus and Jhelum and Chenab and all the tributaries, and 90% of the country's food comes from Punjab and Sindh. When we understand that, and we also understand that our existing dams which are there, particularly the one on Kishan Ganga in Bandipura,
Yes.
Bagliar in Ramban, Lal in Riyasi, Dulhasti in Kishtwar. These are 4 dams, maybe not Dulhasti so much, but the other 3 that I talked about do have the capacity or capability of sort of holding back certain amount of water. And the Pakistani water management has been extremely poor in their own states. So I think at some level it is hurting them, and it is been pricking them. It's not like they're just making noise over the whole issue. So, and I absolutely support this decision. In fact, every decision that the government has taken so far.
And of course, it may not be just switching on something or switching off something. It will take time. Whatever infrastructure has to come will take time. It will not make an overnight change on the ground. But that is what the situation is. But Ravinderji, how do you see the situation developing here on? We're seeing that Indian response, Pakistan has threatened that they will suspend the Shimla Agreement. So the escalation levels have started to step up. There is firing at the line of control, though with small arms, but we don't know. Maybe it will escalate further, and that ceasefire will be gone. Something that has held on for some time now. How do you see the situation developing here on?
Thank you. I mean, there's $1 trillion questions. We can just hazard some guesses. One is that India-Pakistan relations, which are already in a state of a deep freeze, have gone into a deep freeze, right? I mean, the
Right.
visa revocations, all of that, cut downs in the High Commission staff, etc. I don't see them in a month's time then being back to the same old levels, right? So several things have definitely been downgraded, will remain downgraded further. That is one. Secondly, as any observer, it seems that the government of India would take some action. We don't know, maybe they don't. Okay, but perhaps they would. There must be a lot of scenarios being modeled. If we do this, what will be the retaliation, and then what do we do? Because I think we can very well, General Saab will very much know that whatever be it, your enemy will retaliate in some shape or form. We may be able to counter that. So those scenarios must be being modeled overall. But I think if I could hazard a guess, I think whatever step India takes will not be maybe a major, because what if we walk backwards? I do not know if we are going to go to a full-fledged war with Pakistan. I do not know
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
And probably the chances are low of that.
Yeah.
So it'll be something lower than that. So it could be something like, again, a targeted strike or strikes, maybe this time from from the seas, not the air force or land. I mean, to indicate our naval approaches, from submarines or something like that, targeted. But it will depend on Pakistan's air defense system. So we don't know. But there will have to be something like that by the government um, at a time, maybe, and place of its choosing. Now, that said, overall, yes, our internal security, I think it has to be reimagined or redesigned. A lot is being done, but whatever is, there are still gaps there. How these gaps happen? Well, I mean, even the US cannot stop any, immigrants, even illegal immigrants moving into the US. So, large borders are tough to manage, and the terrains here are such. But so be it. But our internal security, or the design of how we have designed our architecture within the country, I think that there must be a hard look at it. Some other steps taken. There's a talk of helicopter drones and aerial umbrella monitoring. Some of those could be taking place. But I mean, so these are a bunch of things that I see on the Indus Valley. I think on the waters thing, I think yes, we will continue now to kind of harness, more actively work towards harnessing the water for irrigation or storage as we may. By the way, the coming summer in Pakistan, the estimate is that it will be if not a drought, there'll be already a 20 to 30%, down. Lower levels of water flows, which brings up another point that you're making. I think henceforth, any water related shortages, droughts, or floods in Pakistan would be blamed on India. See,
Right.
nobody knows the truth, but since this thing has
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
out,
They'll say that whatever is happening there, there's no water because the waters have been
yeah, like
stopped.
last year they had huge floods. One third of Pakistan was submerged. So next time something like that happens, they'll raise their emotional phony
Yeah.
bogey and blame it on India. So that way they'll keep on, riling up the emotional base of the people of Pakistan
Yeah.
around an issue towards an anti-India hate and rhetoric.
Yes.
No, I
Uh,
agree. Actually, if you look at the rhetoric on social media from uh, Pakistani citizens, it would almost appear as if they are the victims, as if Pahalgam has happened in Pakistan, and we are the ones to answer something. So this rhetoric will go on. I don't think it should bother us. I just want to make a couple of very quick points about what might happen, because that is your question. First of all, as far as the abrogation of the Shimla Agreement, I don't think it should bother anyone. What did it achieve? It achieved we gave back 93,000 soldiers who had surrendered to us, and we recognized the ceasefire line into line of actual control, a line of
Line
control.
of control. Yeah.
Now we know that in the last 30 years or 40 years, Pakistanis haven't ever, treated that as a sanctified line. Not only that, they've even infiltrated through Jammu area where there is an international border. So what does it really mean on ground is really nothing at all. I just want to say very quickly about this, what might happen in terms of, obviously, I have no knowledge, and let me begin with the caveat that whatever the government do with the much wiser councils and heads
Yeah,
sitting there, we will support in
yeah,
entirety. Having
yeah,
said that, I personally think that this is not to be treated as an isolated incident. We have to look at the whole picture of all the incidents that have taken place going back even from 2000, 2001, the Mumbai train bombings, the etc. etc. This is war. It has to be seen that there is a war going on. Now, let me just quickly add that I'm not at all advocating a conventional war. I'm not. I'm not warmongering. That's not the goal at all here, right? But what we must see that this is a concerted attempt against India, which requires a reply. Now, the question is, what is the response? Once again, as a citizen, as a layman, I would say, while we need to look at the people's sentiment all the time in a democracy, but I think to take a very major security decision purely from the prism of political understanding may not be the wisest thing at this point. I understand the anger. There is huge anger in my mind, and I'm sure it is in the minds of everybody else.
yeah.
But just lashing out because you're angry is not the best thing to do. And therefore, I would say let us not repeat anything that we've done earlier. Let us not fall into the game of predictability of doing a little, doing a cross-border thing or using the air force, etc., or things like that. I think this is time for cooler heads to prevail, and I think we need to resolve this problem once and for all. And that has a long-term connotation. It has a long-term ramping up of your military strength and every other means that you have, your economic heft, your diplomatic strength, and then taking a proper action if Pakistan does not behave. I think that restraint may show greater courage at this point than
But
just
but but
lashing out.
General Saab, don't you think that that red line has been crossed? If nothing happens, if we wait for another day till we are stronger,
No,
that
we're not waiting. We're not waiting. We're not
yeah,
waiting. You see, the government has already taken some steps. I
yeah,
understand they're diplomatic steps, and in the common man's eye, these look like diplomatic steps, but they are strong steps. There are many other things that are open to us, from cyber offensive capabilities to, well, I'm not sitting here to recommend covert action because I have no clue whether these happen or they don't happen. But there are many other things that we can do as a strong nation, which will make us hit the actual targets and not just lash out in something which has a tit for tat effect, which has a collateral
right,
damage on both sides.
yes,
I mean, that
yes,
won't be very wise, isn't it? So if you want to go there, then there are several other things you can do. Some of them I don't think we need to discuss here. But if it is a conventional action we are looking at, then I think we should need to wait, strategize, build our strength, and there are a couple of other steps I can suggest geopolitically, but I think that maybe
yeah.
later.
And also, you spoke about what's happened in the past. Things have also changed there since Pulwama. There is a China factor now. Also, the things that happened at the line of actual control and the movement of troops there. So we cannot just expect the same thing to be repeated. The retaliation may be there, but in some other form, in a different way. Obviously, by taking all those dynamics into consideration, then possibly, the response will be thought about and will be implemented. But clearly there is anger on the ground when you see those
Of
pictures,
course.
when you see those visuals. Of course, people want some sort of an action, a strong action by the government, and that is what Prime Minister has also said. We can actually play that soundbite what Prime Minister said.
Today, from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track, and punish every terrorist and their backer. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done. The entire nation is firm in this resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity is with us. I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times.
Obviously, generally the Prime Minister speaks in Hindi language, but this was an exception. He spoke in English. Obviously, he was sending across the message globally. That is perhaps the reason that he spoke in English and put out that message very, very clearly. But yes, yes,
If
General.
you hear his words, Zafar, if you hear his words, this very stirring words, and I'm again going to say, whatever I'm saying is not to take counsel of our fears. We are not talking about fear here. We are talking about being wise and smart because we want to win. You listen to the Prime Minister's stirring speech and listen to his words. What did he say? He said, we will identify and track every single terrorist involved in this action and their backers.
Yeah.
You see the focus is on the exact enemy and not just lashing out, wildly at other things. So let me leave it at that.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And since then, Pakistani ministers are also speaking. One of their deputy prime ministers, Ishaq Dar, said that they don't know whether it's a terrorist or it's a freedom fighters. He used the word. And then there is another minister who actually said that they have been doing the dirty work of West for 30 years and they are now paying the price for this. In fact, in a way, accepting that they have been involved in terrorism in the past. So Pakistan, there's no justification to be given to Pakistan as it is asking for some sort of a neutral investigation and all that. India has made its options very, very clear. But these haunting images continue to be there. This is Vinay Narwal's wife. That photograph you saw in Pahalgam on the very first day when she was sitting, and the body of her husband, they are lying, the naval officer from Haryana. That's that photo, and this is his wife. So all those pictures and visuals have been seen by everybody in the country, and that's why there is such simmering anger. We'll have to wait and keep a close track of this situation. But for now, thanks so much, General Neeraj Baliji and Rabinder Sachdevji for joining us and for sharing your thoughts, and thanks to our viewers for watching the Mojo story.
Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Pleasure.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.